Hi, everyone. Welcome to Here for the Health of It. We have a great show. We have Eloy Platenburg. I think I said that wrong again. Eloy. All right, I'm restarting that. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. We have a great show today. We have Eloy Platenburg, who is the owner of Front Yard Forest, and he gets deep talking about all the relationships with plants, trees, what he does, what his thoughts on lawns are, the whole ecosystem behind it. So I hope you enjoy. Thanks for listening.
This episode is brought to you by our sponsor, Warren and Dillon, the Midland's trusted personal injury lawyers. Here's some great advice from our sponsor.
Hey there, Brett Warren with Warren and Dillon. I wanted to talk to you today about some of the biggest mistakes you can make when it comes to dealing with insurance companies. I think one of them is giving a recorded statement to the insurance company. The problem is that the insurance companies, they're doing these recorded statements to help their case and to hurt yours. And so they're going to ask some sneaky questions that are designed to hurt your case. One quick example, they'll ask how many feet away you were from the other car when you first noticed them. Nobody really knows the answer to that. But what they're going to do is they're going to say, hey, you should have noticed that other car, and now you're 20% at fault. So do yourself a favor, just don't do it or talk to a lawyer first. Trusted advice, proven results, Warren and Dillon.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Here for the Health of It podcast. I'm Dr. Randy, here with Dr. Tom, as always, and we have a great guest today. We have Eloy Platenburg.
Yeah,
I got it right?
Eloy.
Eloy.
Yeah,
Eloy.
Close.
I even wrote down how to say it. And you're the owner of Front Yard Forest.
Yeah, Front Yard
which is a sustainable landscape company with a focus on garden installation, maintenance, and design.
Yep, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, we do garden installation, maintenance design, but we focus heavily on like native plants and soil amendment, all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
Wow. When I lived in Winnipeg, Manitoba, there was a lady who always came in and she said there's no such thing as a weed.
Yeah, that's a pretty understandable statement. Plants.
Do you agree with that?
Well, like there's really aggressive plants, and then there's like less aggressive plants, and the ones that don't really belong here we consider weeds. Ones that we don't want we consider weeds. So It is a matter of how you look at it. It's perspective based, I guess. But we try to influence people to get rid of the plants that don't belong here.
Yeah. So they're weeds.
And you kind of where they're
weeds.
located.
Invasive species, yeah.
Yeah. What's the worst invasive species that you come around?
The one that I'm like struggling with like currently is this one. It's called Japanese climbing fern. And it is just such a nuisance. It releases spores, and the spores can live for years. And so even if you kill the plant and dig up like the little rhizome underneath, it can still survive like years later, come back.
Wow.
So,
Is it from Japan?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Okay, and what do you do to get rid of them?
Unfortunately, we hand remove them, so it's all about like timing. We try to get everything before the spore release, which is like towards the later part of the season, like October. And if we can't get rid of all of them by hand, we do end up using some pesticide use. So we try to limit pesticide use because we just are seeing more and more research coming out about pesticides not being good for the environment and not good for like human health and being leached into our waterways and things like that. So we do have to use them in some cases though, because getting rid of the plants that have been brought here, a lot of Eurasian plants like Tree of Heaven or like the one I just mentioned, like they really won't go away unless you use some sort of a chemical application.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Are you more of a bushes guy or a flowers guy?
Flowers, yeah.
Really?
I love perennials, yeah.
And you know all the names of all this stuff? Because we had a Sarah from Fern on, and she just, like, the names of flowers are wild.
Yeah, it feels like you're summoning something when you use the Latin name.
Yeah.
So, like, one of my favorite ones is not native.
What do you mean summoning something?
Like when you say, like, for instance, like, I was trying to think of one, like Agastache funiculum. Like you're just
it's like a magic spell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's funny. So it's good to know the common names too. Like that one is Anisosop, so it's a lot easier to just tell people that.
Anisosop?
Yeah. That one isn't native to South Carolina, but it's native to North America, so it's one of my favorite plants actually.
Oh. So more into flowers.
Oh yeah, I love flowers. Yeah.
Is it the colors or what is it?
I mean,
the smell.
It's
Just everything.
I mean, they do so much. They like really.
They get the
It's
insects
so cool.
over there.
Like when you think about it, it's a plant that like it blooms just for the relationship, with other species.
That felt good. Whatever you just said. It's
It's-
just bonding with another species.
bees.
Yeah, and that's kind of the
Butterflies.
coolest thing about learning about these plants is like the way that they evolved and grew and developed was through like really a lot of trials, a lot of hardships, but it was molded by the environment and the relationship with the environment. So the ones that survived, they survived because of those relationships. So kind of like us.
Today's episode is brought to you by our sponsor, Columbia Family Chiropractic, with 3 easy-to-get-to locations, one in Forest Acres, which is by Trader Joe's, one in O'Neill Court by the DMV, and one in the Northeast by Sand Hills. You'll be sure to have somewhere near you. They offer a ton of services from corrective care, on-site digital x-rays, spinal decompression for bulging or herniated discs, dry needling for injuries, pediatric care, and a Class 4 laser. They accept all your major insurances. And if you mention this ad, you'll get a discount on your first appointment. Check out their website at cfc4health.com or Google Columbia Family Chiropractic. That's cfc4health.com. Survival of the fittest.
Dude, Eloy, you're deep. Do you like?
Oh,
I
man.
feel like you're like a deep guy.
I can get really deep. I think like it's brought me here into gardening. Like,
Yeah, you were on a journey at one point in your life, and gardening fell right into your lap.
oh man, yeah, I would say gardening is a lifesaver. It's a healer, and really like the relationship with the earth is like healing in general. I think the better the relationship, the better that we can feel. And
Dude, it all goes back to God knew what he was doing. He threw Adam and Eve. He could have put Adam and Eve in a museum, a park. He put him in the garden.
yeah,
Big guy up top. So,
yeah.
do you go barefoot?
and I'm usually in boots. I'm
Really?
not gonna lie.
We got to get you one with the earth
Yeah.
and the dirt.
I've actually heard that like the term grounding,
Yeah.
like actually having your
Great.
feet planted on bare soil or whatever
Yeah.
without socks on, barefoot, is good for your health and inflammation too.
100%.
Yeah, and I just learned about that. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh man, I gotta take my shoes off.
Yeah, electron balancing.
Yeah.
Actually, my wife a few years ago for my birthday got me one of those mats that you lay on your bed and you plug it into the ground,
Yep.
like the electrical ground in your house.
Oh wow.
And it balances out your electrons.
Yeah, that's what we have.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Dude, do you wear gloves or are you touching the dirt?
Yeah, I wear gloves. It's like, for health reasons, there can be like soil-borne disease and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Trichinosis from cats everywhere.
Peeing on your stuff.
Oh, yeah, love cats, but don't love that.
Yeah.
No. So I guess as far as like, do you know a lot about dirt?
I'm
like
realizing that I don't know a lot about dirt. There's so much that I don't know. The more that I learn about soil, the more I realize actually I think I learned recently that there's more microorganisms than there are stars in our galaxy.
no kidding.
Yeah, like in the soil. So I was just like, that blew me away. I was like, yeah, I'm unaware. Yeah.
Just such a deep guy. Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Talking.
It's just mind expanding.
Yeah.
So there's a couple like unique things about you that I want to address for anybody watching. So your mustache
listening.
is substantially longer than your beard.
Love
I
that.
just shaved my face. I feel totally different. Yeah.
Okay. But you left some beard and a longer mustache.
I did. Yeah.
Is that, yeah.
Yeah. Is that like a special look or is it just?
I just giving it a try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that.
For a while, it was just like a big beard. You know
Everywhere?
what I mean? Everywhere. And, I mean, like it's just so hot outside. So I was just like, I got to get rid of this thing.
Yeah.
All right. And then tell me about your watch. You were wearing your watch on the outside of your long sleeve shirt.
It agitates my skin. Like there's like this little piece of metal that just will rub up against my skin, and I just feel like I've got sensory issues with that.
That's a vibe right there.
Oh, I thought
That's a
maybe
whole new
you had
fashion.
gloves and it was the only way that you could see your watch with your gloves on or something.
It's more about the sensation than anything. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And then you have your keys like on a carabiner.
Oh yeah.
That's
That's
because when
standard.
you're working hard, you don't want them to get lost.
And you want to hear him jingle a little bit when you move.
I actually can't stand that. Like really, I have to like tuck them into the pocket. Yeah.
I feel that. I like that with my golf clubs too. I hate when they jingle against each other.
He wears head cover. He puts iron head covers. You golf at all?
I don't. Yeah, I've tried. Actually, I have such a hilarious story. The first time that I tried golfing, my stepdad's a big golfer, and so is my brother. They both love golfing, but I'm not good at it. First time I tried it, I think the only way it got on the green was after it ricocheted off a tree, and I was like, yeah, I was like, this isn't for me.
All right, so take us back. I kind of just want to know like how you got into this. Like, what were you doing before? What led you to starting the company? Give us all that background.
Yeah, like, man, it's such a long story actually, but I've been working in the green industry in general for like 13 plus years.
Yep.
And, before that, I was doing like psychology and other things because I was just like inspired by like learning about people and, learning about myself and other things. And,
I knew you were deep.
man, it gets deep. But I got into gardening.
I love learning about
like-
people, so I did landscaping.
Yeah, I don't know how I ended up here. It's the wildest story. I was working as an early intervention specialist, and I actually got fired from that job, and it really like broke me because I was working with these kids.
You loved.
And I just felt heartbroken. I couldn't tell them goodbye, and I was like, after that, I tried. I started with like farming, so I just like gave something else a try.
Yeah.
I'd always loved gardening at home, and my mom was a big gardener, so I kind of learned that from her. And then after like years of working in farming, I like tried this job at the botanical gardens, and I don't even know how to talk about it. Like gardening is so cool because there's so much that goes into it. And at first, when I was initially learning about gardening, I was learning about design and just using any sort of plant that I thought looked cool. And then I started to kind of uncover more and more about like what it actually means when you're putting a plant in the ground.
Right.
It's not just for you, it's not just something that's beautiful. It's actually an entire relationship that you're building between you, the plants, and the entire system.
I just love this.
Dude, it gets wild, and so like
Well, I'm getting emotional. I got a little teary, and I don't know why.
I think it's something about like our own humanity gets exposed there. It's like, oh man, wait, actually, like maybe this is part of what I'm supposed to be doing. It's like maybe I am supposed to be putting like things into the earth and like nurturing it and then building it, because that's how we started was farming, agriculture, and learning about that. Gardening is just like fancy. It's just design.
I don't. So when you're putting it into the earth, like depth matters.
Yeah. If you plant something too deep, it can get root rot, from like water just like sinking in.
Do you do anything? Do you like talk to it, play music or anything?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's kind of funny. I actually, when I worked at this vertical farm in New York, I learned about this guy that would play heavy metal music for the plants because he had like learned about some research that like plants perform better with heavy metal and jazz.
Really?
So like complex riffs and stuff like that. And I was like, that's interesting.
You haven't.
There's some studies.
I don't do that. I don't play any music for them. I think people might think I'm a little bit off if I start coming out to their landscapes playing classical music.
That'd be great. Oh man. No, but there is some research on talking to plants, like positivity, versus negativity, and how they grow.
Oh,
Pretty wild.
Yeah,
You'd love that.
I don't really talk to them. Maybe I should.
You don't name. You should name them. Have a couple named
I'd have
plants.
to come up with a lot of names. We install thousands of plants.
Is that? Yeah. I'm curious about the volume that you're doing.
Oh man, like we just recently installed this one installation, and it was probably over 2,000 plants put in the ground.
Holy cow!
It just depends, Some jobs, like we've been getting bigger ones, like month-long jobs. Some jobs, like small jobs, can take up to like a week or a couple of days.
Yeah.
Medium jobs, like a couple of weeks, and then like the bigger ones are like month-long.
That's
be even
massive.
More. Yeah, and we're a small business. We only
Right.
have like usually from like 3 to 5 people
Helping you out.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then if it rains, you're screwed.
There have been days where I've worked in the rain just to like,
Get it
and I've
done.
always asked everybody, I'm like, what do you guys want to do?
Yeah.
And a lot of the time people are like, yeah, let's just get it over with.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
What kind of protection are you using from the sun? Are you like
Yeah.
fully clothed and
yeah, like you see this shirt, this is usually what we wear,
Yeah,
is like
that's
these
nice.
like moisture wicking. It seems like you're wearing like winter apparel
Yeah.
because it's long sleeve, but it's like really breathable, and when you sweat through it, it like the air that comes through it will cool you down.
nice?
So that and like large like gardening hats and sunglasses, sunscreen, stuff
You go
like that.
overalls at all?
I've got one pair of overalls.
Yeah.
I usually don't wear them to work in, but
Pretty
I
classic.
might
yeah.
one day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you were an interventionist, this is going back
Oh,
to your earlier. What did you get fired for?
They told me that I wasn't on top of my paperwork, and I was like,
Paperwork.
nobody is though. I was like, but no one is. So I just felt like, okay, I threw up my hands. I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, I guess that was a
Which was a good thing though, because then you got launched into this direction.
yeah, totally different direction.
Start your own business.
Yeah,
Now you're
that-
doing thousands of plants a month.
starting the business happened at the height of the pandemic, so it was like a really interesting time.
Yeah.
I left the job at the botanical gardens, which was hard to do because I really loved that job. And before I was working like two jobs. I was doing the horticulture at the botanical gardens, and I was working with a couple of clients and building things up. And then I just went off solo and started doing it. Yeah.
Wow. How's your paperwork now
Not
for the
much
business?
now. It's just like send a
You
bill,
gotta
right?
file taxes,
Oh, yeah.
invoices.
Yeah, well, thank God for like
employees.
CPAs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like usually like building systems to do a lot of the work, automate a lot of
Right.
the work, and
Right.
but there's still like there's still a lot of documentation and stuff like contracts and things. There's always going to be paperwork.
Especially like if you end up in small claims court, you got to have all your paperwork
Oh
ready,
yeah.
which I would imagine happens
would
to
hopefully-
everybody, right? Or no?
I don't know. I have no idea. I hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
You don't get that much? Your clients are on top of paying?
Yeah, everybody's been really awesome.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I love my clients. I mean, I really had just good experiences. I think we've had a couple of experiences that made things a little bit tricky, but it's always able to be navigated with open communication most of the time,
Yeah.
So, if anything ever goes wrong, like I think one time we had a situation where like somebody pruned azaleas the wrong way, and this really hurt the client's feelings, and like understandable, it's
Yeah.
their plant. And so we just came back and we were like, here, like it's like free. We just did all
Yeah.
this for free. We're just gonna
wow.
sometimes you gotta take the L,
Yeah.
But it's more about that relationship with the client,
I was wondering about that. So are there tips that you give for the average, yard person that's out there and they got their small garden? Pruning is always one that gets a little tricky, but any general tips for people?
It depends on the landscape and what you got going on. I think like a lot of people are looking to downsize the amount of maintenance that they have.
Right.
And so we really help people to do that by removing a lot of these Eurasian plants, like these plants that like require hedging in order to keep looking nice for the HOAs and things like that. We just get rid of them, remove them. I inspire a lot of people to remove these plants that aren't doing anything for the environment and really not doing anything for them. They're just kind of taking a lot of water.
Yeah.
And the biggest one is your lawn.
Grass.
Yeah. Like, when you think about the amount of the landscape in North America alone, I think it's up to like 40 million acres of lawn.
Wow.
And that in a year is 3.29 trillion gallons of water that's
That it
being
needs.
used. Yeah.
Yeah.
And not to mention like the pesticides, the chemical fertilizer, all of that. So it costs a lot of money. And so a lot of homeowners are spending like, I don't know, up to like $3,000 a year maybe
Right.
on just a lawn. That's not really. So, and I understand like when we think about like how we got here with lawns, I mean, there's a long history of like where they came from and how they developed, how they became popularized, and now what they symbolize. So it's kind of just become a common aspect of like our culture is just to have something that really
Right.
doesn't produce anything for us and just makes us work and spend a lot of money and spend a lot of resources. And so I think like the biggest challenge has been like inspiring people to reduce the lawn.
So you're a proponent of just get rid of it and try to put more plants and
yeah, more gardening, and there's like it's difficult to do that because suburban residential areas you have like a standard for how everything has to look, and so sometimes we're battling with HOAs, and but at the end of the day, like more and more people are getting inspired to get rid of their lawns. They're seeing it as more of a task than like something that they want.
Randy can't grow grass for shit.
No, I'm average. So in the north, it's easy to grow grass. I'm from Canada. It's like no matter what you do, the soil's so good, it just grows.
Okay.
Here, you got to work hard to grow. Like nobody has ever accidentally got a nice lawn here.
Yeah.
And there's
it's a lot of
battles
work.
like there's all these other dads. You're just battling against their lawn and your lawn.
There's so many diseases that the lawns can get.
Yeah.
So many insects that are eating it, and I mean, like, not really in a beneficial way. There's no biodiversity with a monoculture crop like that, one that's not even native to this landscape. So it means that it's not a contributing like force for interdependent systems. It's not really bringing any value, besides the ones that we create in our culture. And I think like the lawn does symbolize a lot of things for people. I think it and in the past how it originated, it was a symbol of status and wealth.
Keeping it high or keeping it tight.
Yeah, and like
High and tight.
I was like,
yeah. And now it does symbolize kind of like making it success stories for people. Like I've got the house, I got the landscape, I got the. And I think it also can symbolize even like patriotism in some form or fashion. Is like,
I didn't see that coming. Walk me through that.
I'm on another planet right now.
It's kind of like it's just become a part of our culture, I mean, like ever since the development of the lawnmower, it was no longer like difficult to maintain it on your own. So you weren't paying other people to take care of it. You got a machine that you can easily do. Now they've got like these robotic ones that just run on their own.
It's like a Roomba for your lawn.
Those are funny.
One thing that I like about the lawn is it's a buffer between the road and yourself with nothing in the way.
Yeah.
Like if someone's coming up to my house, they have to go a fair distance in order to get to my front door.
It's interesting, like, the first, I think, initial application of like lawns was in medieval Europe. And it was these large grasslands to protect you so that you could see anything that's coming.
Right.
So I think that there is like an aspect of like being able to see everything.
Protection,
And like and feeling in control, it not letting it get too wild. Like there's a lot of things that we're afraid of, like ticks and things like that, snakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but in reality, I think there's a lot of information about ticks that I don't know, but I don't think that having a lawn is necessarily keeping them at bay.
Right.
Yeah.
So you would zap 50% of the lawns if you could.
Yeah, I mean, I still see like a utilization of like a lawn. It can be nice to like have a place to play or like, for doing like sport, things like that. But making it the major aspect of your landscape, it doesn't really do it for me. I don't understand it totally. Like when I started to learn more about like what we're actually like doing when we have a garden, it made me realize like that it's counterintuitive to just have a lawn. It doesn't supply me with anything. It doesn't give me food. It doesn't give anything else food. It's not supporting pollinators. It's not creating habitat. It's just a resource sink.
Yeah.
Not only that, but it contributes to stormwater runoff, like sheet flow water that runs off of a lawn and then goes into a stormwater drain.
Right.
It's carrying with it a lot of pollutants, and that's the water that we're drinking, so
Right.
it does impact us, I think, in the grand scheme. And it's hard to like look at all of that and not feel totally overwhelmed and like just be like shut down. No, I'll just keep it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you got in your yard?
Oh my God, my yard. My yard is a mess.
How many?
I take care of everybody else's yard. My yard is
leave it.
chaos, man.
How many different plants you got there?
A lot. I mean, I've got like probably like 7 fig trees and like 4 or 5 peach trees, a loquat tree, lots of fruit. I still haven't. There's a lot of things that I need to get rid of that are there that I just haven't had the time to. Like, I've been slowly trying to kill the lawn.
Really?
Like, yeah. with suppressing it with like a mulch. If you have like, I think it's like 8 to 12 inches of mulch can kill the grass.
Just suffocates it. Yeah.
So
You're trying to slowly kill your lawn with
buddy.
mulch.
it's like, well, because I don't really have the time to like get the machinery to invest all the money into like removing it that way. So I'm just trying to find more cost-effective methods to get rid of it, and also like I am gonna start testing some other methods for like integrating meadows into a lawn.
What's that?
So like seeding in.
I wasn't ready for this
Yeah.
today. I didn't know what
No.
I was walking into.
We needed the people
Integrating
needed this.
meadows into a lawn.
Yeah, like transforming a lawn into a prairie. A Carolina prairie. Like,
Oh, kind of more wild.
yeah, definitely. Like when you look at a prairie, it's usually like a lot of grasses and perennials, and
Just a freedom festival out there of plants.
Patriotic.
so there's a lot of research going on about how to do that, and I've just been sifting through different methods, and I think I've just got to try it out on my own lawn. Because some people are saying that you can just put seed down after putting some like compost down for the seed to grow into, and then allow the new growth to come up, and then mow periodically so that you don't cut back the seedlings. And it's just a slow process. It takes a lot of time. And I think the best way for me to learn that is actually to just do it. But there's a lot that's going on right now, like education wise. Some people, like for us, like when we're removing a lawn, we usually are removing it either by like suffocating it or just by like ripping it up with machinery.
What about like a rototiller or something?
I have tried the till method, and it's not the best method.
Because it just kind of comes.
It leaves a lot of roots behind, and it also messes up a lot of the microbiome in the soil by disrupting like the mycorrhizae. There's like networks underground, that I didn't even
Like
know about.
subway stations.
Like it's wild. There's a lot going on that like we just don't know about.
Dude, I've heard we're all they're all connected across the planet. Plants.
Plants.
Yeah, like there's a system underneath us. It's just like almost like Avatar where it comes together.
I like Avatar. That's cool. I don't know. Yeah, there's so much to learn, like, and it does feel overwhelming because you're like, man, I don't know it all, but like, you just got to start somewhere, and that's why I try to inspire people to start small. You don't have to transform your whole landscape to make a difference.
How are you with artificial turf? Like, are you a proponent of people throwing in artificial turf?
No.
You're anti that.
Yeah, it's pretty
That's
bad.
anti-life.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to like judge anybody. That doesn't get anybody anywhere, like shaming and judging people, So I'm not coming out here to do that. But like, if someone asked me to do it, I just tell them like I can't, because we kind of got to stand by the company values.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. I love turf. But I do. Just because there's zero maintenance,
That's
what I like.
Yeah, zero maintenance is really nice. I mean, like, but there's lots of ways to have zero maintenance.
He just doesn't care about the relationship, though. You got to learn more.
That's true. I've never even thought about the relationship of any of it. I mean, although I'm big on fruit. If I have trees in my yard, I like them to have something. Like I like fruit trees. I got fig trees, peach trees,
Leaves.
couple apple trees.
Nice.
I got a pecan tree.
Nice.
None of them have produced.
They haven't produced anything
Not
yet,
one.
but they've been planted for a while.
A while.
Yeah.
Like over 3 years.
I had a couple. Usually the ones that they've died by 3 years. And then I just like plant a new one.
I think you need at least 3 years most of the time.
So I guess with planting stuff, is there any tricks to that? Because I didn't know at first when you put like bushes or trees in, you kind of have to leave the root, what is it, the bulb or whatever, a little bit above the ground,
The root
and then
flare.
it pulls itself in.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of tricks. And luckily most of them you can find online, so people aren't totally lost when they're doing that stuff. But yeah, you don't want to plant too deep. It's important to leave the root flare exposed. That's like the top of the plant where the roots are exposed at the top of like any potted plant. You'll see it. And then like you do want to disturb the roots that are, grown around in the root ball. Like on the outside of the plant, you just kind of like give a good like breakdown of the outside
Little
roots.
jiggle.
It stimulates, a little jiggle,
Yeah.
little stimulation, just like, help the roots actually start to develop and grow.
And it's not different for every plant, right? It's kind of the standard, like.
Yeah, it's mostly the same. I would say like for some plants, depending on which ones, like if you're getting, say for instance, you get like bare root plants.
Yep.
You're not going to plant those the same way that you would like others. Those you have to be a little bit more careful. And
Okay.
yeah. And then.
But are you throwing any
ball and
or go ahead.
burlap plants? Yeah, ball and burlap plants, for instance, that's like a whole different process too.
How quickly are you doing like fertilizer or water even? Like, are you supposed to just saturate it right away?
Yeah, give it water right away as soon as you can. It's a stressful event, transplanting a plant. You take it out of its pot and put it into the ground. You're kind of stressing it because you're changing its environment. It's got to then put a lot of energy to the root system. So helping it out in any way you can, amending the soil, like adding fertilizer, giving it a good watering in.
I think that's when you got to start talking to the plant. Hey, it's going to be okay. Hey,
Give it,
give it a little
give it
hug.
some therapy.
Yeah. We're bringing you back. We're bringing you back to earth.
Yeah.
Do you use any like growth hormones or any of the other plant stimulator type stuff?
I've been thinking about using like inoculants, like mycorrhizal inoculants and stuff like that, but we haven't been using them lately. No.
Really? So just
Yeah.
kind of put it in.
Usually we just amend the soil first, and sometimes we'll like add some like organic fertilizer. It depends on the year, like or the time of the year. If we're planting early in the season, in the spring, we'll definitely add like an organic fertilizer to it as well. And then we always add like an organic pre-emergent that helps to keep the weeds from germinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you, you mentioned like in rototilling, it kind of messes up some of the microbiome stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What about aeration? Like I've seen, that's a big thing at golf courses, and I've seen people that are real serious about plants and yards and all that, that they do that and they throw sand and.
Oh, yeah.
I always thought that would mess things up, but it seems like it's like great for it.
I think like lawns in general like compact the soil really quickly, and I think you have to aerate if you're going to take care of a lawn, because those roots, and also the what is it called, thatch, mowing over and over again, the dead grass just kind of settles in. You've got to like scrape that out. Yeah. So it is important. Like it's a good balance, like to give air to the roots. You don't really have to aerate a garden though. Yeah.
Gotcha. So once it's in there, kind of established, you just follow the recommendations on watering it. Is there that much, like what would you say is a good amount of time that somebody should put into their garden as far as upkeep? Like is it a daily thing? I guess I always get worried about, is it a daily project? Is it a once a week? Is it?
Well, it depends, like on the garden that you have. It's highly dependent on what plants are in the landscape. You can have some plants are extremely low maintenance, but usually with us, we do maintenance that's either biweekly or once a month. So we usually try to install gardens that don't require more than one time a month maintenance.
That's nice.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. So I'm trying to get a feel for what it looks like. A person finds you on Instagram, they send you a DM, and they say, I need help with my garden. And then you go over there and you do an initial consult and you say, here's what I think you need, here's what it's going to cost, and we'll do it in the next 3 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, we do consultations are free, and then we do like a site assessment. Sometimes we do soil testing if it looks like we need to figure out like what's depleted in the soil.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of a rare thing. We don't do that often, but I have had to do it a handful of times. Most of the time, we just go in and amend the soil using like a compost, a mushroom, or a chicken manure, or something like that. And then you can learn a lot from the site assessment by like looking at the landscape, what's doing well there, and what's not doing well there. So we try to like work with the landscape instead of like going against it. Of course, like sometimes the client will want something that isn't necessarily going to do the best in the landscape, so we will still like integrate those things and
Right.
make it work as best as we can.
Yeah.
Because I mean that's part of the design is like the client has to like.
Do you draw it up? Do you do like a quick little sketch, or how do you do that?
Yeah, I use like programs to do like 3-dimensional designs.
Oh, where you can see what it'll look like.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
and
sweet.
we'll also do like most of the time it's a 2-dimensional design where it's like just a bunch of like circles and patterns, and then a key off to the side that tells
Right.
you like what plant is what. And then we have like a project outline that shows the picture of each of the plants, and then we go over it usually over Zoom. So it's quite a process. It can take a
Yeah.
little bit of time, you know. So
Do you have to do any hardscaping in that, like where you have to build a little wall or?
yeah, so a lot of the time we'll add in like pathways, like sometimes
Pavers and-
patios, sometimes retention walls, stuff like that. But in a lot of the cases, I try to utilize what I've learned from permaculture, which is like, for instance, there was a client that wanted initially wanted a retention wall in their front yard because they had this sloping landscape and water was just rushing towards the house. And so they were like, let's put in a retention wall and like divert the water using like, and I talked them out of it and told them that we could instead like plant in a lot of like deeply rooted grasses to keep the soil from eroding. We could use berms and swales and dry riverbeds, move the water in a different way, and it saved them a lot of money. It saved them like $20,000.
Dang,
Yeah.
that's sweet.
Plus, I think it looks better than a wall. Yeah.
For sure. And what's your favorite fruit tree? Or to use, I guess. People probably end up using it a fair amount, I would
I've been
say.
using pawpaw trees a lot, and yeah, because they're a native fruit tree here, so it's kind of hard to always get access to the like fruiting trees that are native. I mean, a lot of nurseries, they are not getting the demand from people to have a wide variety of like native species plants, but more and more are coming about. And so the pawpaw tree is definitely one that's been available. So we try to use that one a lot. Other than that, I love planting like figs. I mean,
Yeah.
fig trees are awesome. Yeah.
They're pretty easy to survive, too.
Honestly, yeah. Peach and apple trees, those are cool too, but they do get a lot of diseases. And like the ones at my house recently got a disease called gamosis. I walked outside one day and there was this like clear gelatinous ooze coming out of the fruit, and I was like, oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What did you just YouTubed it and figured it out, or?
I just like you have to. Honestly, I still haven't done anything about it.
Yeah.
Like, so I mean, it's probably going to be something I tackle again next year.
Yeah.
But you're supposed to remove the diseased parts of the tree, and then it's usually a moisture issue.
Yeah.
So sometimes it is a matter of like improper pruning. These haven't been pruned in a really long time, so you've got like poor airflow.
Yeah.
And moisture retention, and that's just like asking for bacteria and other
Right.
issues. So
Yeah, I was told like so pruning, like how you have the there's like a stem, obviously. Then there's these leaves that come off here, but then it keeps going and then more leaves. You
Yeah.
want to cut it like an inch above the parts that are going this way, right?
yeah, you just kind of want to cut at like a 45-degree angle. It helps the water not sit on the open wound of the plant.
Oh.
It'll slide off of it, and that really helps it to keep from like rotting. And it just depends on the plant, really.
Right.
Like if it's herbs, you can cut pretty close to the
What is that
growth.
called? The growth? I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't even know. Either.
I have no clue what you were talking about there.
I'll grab that plant right there, Randall. So like, and this is a fake one.
Yeah, I know.
Obviously don't know what we're doing.
You noticed all our plants right when you came in.
All right, so like, see how let's just use this guy. Like you could cut it an inch above this right here. You just snip this. So this is all gone because there's this part that's coming sideways and it'll grow, right?
Oh,
Yeah, it'll-
get away from the trunk.
Like you
you're
wouldn't
saying.
just, yeah,
You don't want to be
wouldn't
right
here
up against
and
the
you don't
trunk.
want to be here.
No, yeah. You don't want to cut right up against the trunk because if something were to happen, like if it were to rot, it would rot into the trunk.
Yeah.
So you want to leave a little bit of
Yeah,
growth.
whoever cut these.
Yeah, those ones. That was probably me. I cut this one a little too close to it.
All right, are you in the tree takedown business then? Say like you go to a design and you're like, ugh, we got to get rid of this pine tree.
No, I don't take down trees. Like I only take down like small trees. I don't take down
Nothing
big trees.
big.
I leave that to arborists. Arborists really know what they're doing with that. That takes a totally different level of education. And we just subcontract that work out. Most of the time, it also requires stump grinding, so we subcontract that out
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
You're cool though with like killing stuff if you need to.
Yeah. I mean, I've
Okay.
killed a lot of plants.
Okay. But you planted a lot of plants.
But we've
You-
planted a lot of plants.
You're probably on the positive side versus the negative, right?
I would hope so. Yes.
Not more carnage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have any controversial beliefs about plants that you think would be out there?
Controversial beliefs.
Yeah.
Or
About
deep
plants.
ones, like the relationship thing. Is,
Or like conspiracy theories
Oh,
about
man.
plants?
No conspiracy theories. I don't know really. Controversial, not really. I've definitely got a lot of deep thoughts about plants.
yeah,
You know, when I started to look at the systems and how they work, you realize that everything is in a form of a relationship, you know, of like give and take. It's reciprocal and it's definitely balanced. And
yeah,
that means that like if we focus and try to be sustainable, that's kind of part of our job, is to figure out like how we can be integrated into those systems, how we can be a part of that system. So like that's the challenge, is like knowing when to intervene and when to leave things
Right.
alone. I think that's the main thing with like human beings and like our participation in gardening and developing landscapes and agriculture and things of that nature. Like we
Yeah.
just have to figure out when do we intervene and how do we, and like also make it a matter to focus on making it impactful, that's positive and
yeah.
not feeding the darkness, so to speak.
Yep.
You know, I think what we do like with in large like agriculture now and like with our landscapes now, we don't think of them as relationships. We think of them as kind of like just like kind of objects for ourselves, and that's understandable because that's kind of how we've been taught to
Right.
like look at the landscape. But you know, when you go back to the history of the land, you start to realize like, oh, there's a lot to uncover here. There's a lot.
There's a lot.
There's so much history, and like we've made such a big impact. It's overwhelming, and like that's why we try to like just inspire people, you know, by using their yards to, you know, make an impact. It actually can make a big impact. Now it's not going to change like the climate on its own.
Right.
Like there's a lot of things that would have to be done in tandem, but it can still really help us a lot to like transform our yards into these like beneficial ecosystems, shelters, habitats, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody should have chickens in their backyard.
Dude,
What do you think?
I don't know about that, because like I have had like a very small amount of experience working with chickens. I worked at one chicken farm for a couple of months before I moved to New York. Chickens are crazy, dude.
And filthy.
And they're pretty dirty.
No, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah, dude.
They're just normal
Chickens are
birds.
dirty.
I mean, you want to talk about a relationship. You get in a,
you've
you look
done
at all
some
the
weird
hens
stuff
in a
with-
coop.
I think they probably require a lot more than I'm ready to handle. I mean, I want to have fresh eggs,
Yeah.
but I want to like just know somebody that has
Yeah.
chickens. I think
But they
That's the
eat
best.
the weeds and they naturally fertilize while they're walking around. And they eat all the scraps that you have. And
Little ecosystem.
they deliver eggs.
yeah, it's not a bad point. Yeah.
You love a good ecosystem.
It's part. You can't have an ecosystem without chickens.
The
I think
circle of
they're,
life.
They're part of it. And yeah, and they reproduce like fairly quickly if you have a rooster, which you're not allowed to have in the city. But then they can feed hawks and other things. I mean,
How
I think
are you with
chickens
it?
are the perfect bird.
The
He's got a
perfect
weird
bird.
obsession.
I think
with 'em.
so.
Yeah, he's done some weird stuff with chickens. in
No,
his life.
nothing too weird.
Yeah. How are you with animals?
I love animals. I mean, I
Except
only,
for
I only
chickens.
have no. I love chickens
Yeah.
too. Yeah, I just have like a healthy respect for like I'm not gonna. I probably can't take care of them.
Yeah.
I probably I don't know what to do if they get sick. That's one thing I just don't have a clue.
Oh, you just zap.
Like
Do you have any? He kills them. Do you have any pets?
I have one cat. Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, what's its name?
Moose.
Moose?
Yeah.
What color cat is it?
She's a gray, I think
Oh, it's a
like
she?
British short hair. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Probably got to
she's-
get a picture of that cat before the end of the day, so we
Okay.
can put it up on the
Oh,
pod.
I've got plenty.
Um,
Yeah.
you?
Are you single or married or?
No, I'm single. I'm not married.
Okay.
I'm just, out here,
Yeah, just out here
Out
living
here
life.
doing your thing.
Just, yeah.
just doing my thing.
Does it hinder? Does having a cat hinder your dating prospects?
I think people that don't like cats, yeah.
Not into that.
There's a lot of women out there that love cats, though.
Yeah, there are. And there's enough that I'm not worried about it. So I think it's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Caroline loves cats. Yeah. She's a big cat person. Have you been to that cat cafe? That'd be
No.
a good little date for
Is
her.
that the one on North Main?
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that fairly new?
Newish, I think. It's like Cat Daddy, maybe, or something. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know.
No, I haven't been. I've driven past it
Yeah.
and been like, I gotta go.
You got to get in there, yeah.
So tell us more about your dating life because we
My
played
dating
we
life?
played a lot with just doing dating shows and like things like that. Actually, Tom's wife just sent me a link. Did she send you that about where you pitch?
Oh,
There's
yes.
like 75
Pitch your
people
single
go and they
friend
all pitch their
with a
single friends.
PowerPoint.
So I would love to pitch you.
Oh, I could create
at
a stellar
great
PowerPoint on you.
Yeah, dating is like challenging because I'm working so much.
Yeah.
And like when I'm not working, I'm like resting. And I've been truthfully, I'm not gonna lie. Like,
It's a lot of work. Yeah,
I'm
hard
trying
work,
to get
dude.
myself into the gym, and that's hard enough. But
Right.
but so yeah, I mean, I just like work a lot, and I've been on dates, but it's just not really been like the forefront of my focus lately. Like I think I used to be a serial like dater, like I was
Yeah.
constantly in relationships. And then just recently I got out of one, and so now I'm just kind of looking at like, wait a second, when I just want to break for a second and like then get back into it, But for right now, like it's not really a concern of mine because I think like, it all goes back to relationships. Like I'm kind of relearning a relationship with myself in this instance,
Love that.
I think like just I've got a lot of goals for myself and like going to therapy, doing all of that stuff for yourself, really becoming the best person that you can and like, unlearning things, relearning new things. It's just
It's great.
yeah, but
The more you love yourself, then love's going to come to you. You know what I mean?
yeah, and if you don't love yourself, you're getting the wrong kind of love.
That's right.
So what was your go-to before? Was it like dating sites or would you just
I mean, I
Whole
tried
Foods?
dating sites, but honestly, it was just meeting people through like friendships and things
Yeah.
like that. I can't even remember like how I met my last girlfriend. I just knew her through other people. Like, It
Yeah.
was just like the community of people that we were hanging out with,
Nice.
and like shared interest, gardening, stuff like that, cats.
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, we talk about that all the time. Where are all the single guys? Because we know a lot of single women, but
Yeah.
not the single guys are hard to find.
Now we got one.
They're just
So when
they're
you're
working
ready,
a lot.
hey, when you're ready, we're ready for you. Okay.
Oh,
We're
this
not
is gonna be big
Oh, boy.
too.
Yeah.
I'm not ready.
You're gonna be the bachelor.
Yep.
He's not ready, and that's okay. We get
We're
it.
gonna give a rose. Like if we're doing the Bachelor, but instead of using a rose, what kind of plant would we use?
Oh,
Oh man,
You would hand them like
a
a
bush.
fern.
a bush. Give them the fake plant. Well, I don't know what kind of a plant. I love The Bachelor though. That's a fun show.
a good show.
Yeah, yeah. Trash TV, like stuff.
Do you watch Bravo television?
No,
Really?
no.
You watch Survivor.
I watched. Have you seen Alone?
No. Oh yeah,
It's
is that
like
on
the
Netflix?
survivor.
That's
yeah,
cool.
and they're like living alone in the woods. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, man, I wouldn't last 2 days.
No,
Yeah.
I could last years out there.
no, he couldn't.
No problem. I wouldn't
we
want
always-
to, but I could.
We always joke, don't they let you bring like 10 items or something?
Yeah, something like that.
I was like, why wouldn't you bring like a grocery store, a truck, like a cell phone?
Forget Costco.
I think one guy brought a lighter one time and then lost it the first day.
Really?
Oh
Yeah.
No
no.
backup plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flamethrower. Be sweet too.
Now, nobody's ever asked you to put fake plants at their house. Because that's been a thing at our HOA. Yeah, somebody was putting fake plants in.
Oh man,
Can you imagine? You're not recommending that.
that hurts.
Oh, you're disgusted by that?
Yeah,
Because
it's
just
bad.
putting plastic right into the soil.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, a fake plant. What is that? It's just,
What are we doing?
what are we doing? Yeah,
what are we doing
doing with these
I mean, like, I understand it for, if you're not
But
gonna, you
outside.
don't have time to take care of it. You want it to look nice in your
Yeah.
house. That's no judgment. But like putting it outside, like, oh no, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. There's so much more that you can do. And if you don't know what you're doing, you just hire a professional to do it.
Right.
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
What how are you, like, tell me about wildlife. Have you encountered anything wild out there? I'm sure some snakes.
Yeah, like,
You're okay with them? Like, are you cool when you see them?
yeah. I'm not afraid of snakes. I'm actually only have a phobia towards cockroaches.
Really?
Yeah, those guys freak me out. I don't know
In the
why.
pine straw, they're everywhere.
They are everywhere. But otherwise, spiders, snakes, things like that. We encounter them often. Most of the time, they're not a dangerous snake, like a copperhead or something like that. They're usually like garter snake or something like that.
If they're black, then they're fine. If they're brown, then they're probably poisonous. Is that accurate?
There's a saying, but I don't know it.
I can't remember the saying, but that's what I've always thought.
I don't know that much about snakes. Probably should. But most of the black snakes are like black rat snakes. Those are really good for your garden because they're eating rodents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Nice. What kind of books are you reading? I feel like you're a reader.
I love audiobooks.
A listener.
Yeah, it's like a lot easier for me to listen than it is to read, I guess. I just get so distracted. I have ADHD. But but I did just recently buy a book. I think it's called The Regenerative Landscaper. And there's another book called Prairie Up by Benjamin Vogt. That's another one. It's really good. Other than that, off the top of my head, I can't think of other books. There's lots of them.
Like when you're out in the yard, are you earplugged and listening to something, or are you silent and just with nature?
Usually, when I'm working, I don't have my headphones in. I gotta hear, everybody that is working with me and things like that. But other members of the team, they're able to wear their headphones and do all of that. But when I'm on my own, I do listen to podcasts and things like that. Music, other things,
What bushes are the least amount of work for the consumer down here? Like if somebody's like, I'm trying to redo landscape, want to get some bushes or plants, what's the least amount of work that you would be like, you plant it and basically it's gonna grow?
Well, it's dependent on what you want to how tall of a bush, and do you want it to be evergreen? Is deciduous okay? If you want it to be, a lot of people want evergreen shrubs, and
That's just where they turn green.
they stay green all year round.
I'm into that.
Yeah, and I would say the inkberry holly is a native shrub that is, I think, it's evergreen. It stays green year round. It might be semi-deciduous, might drop a couple of leaves. But that one is pretty easy to care for. I've actually heard a lot of people say the opposite, that it's easy to kill them. I haven't had that experience with them. I think other than that, a lot of the native shrubs are deciduous. They drop their leaves in the wintertime.
Is that what deciduous means?
Yeah.
It's good to know.
So native azaleas and things like that, they'll drop their leaves.
Yeah.
Calycanthus drops its leaves.
And then where are you sourcing all these? Do you have a go-to spot? Do you have a wholesale deal with anybody? Or
Yeah, we always are trying to buy wholesale. A lot of the nurseries are either in North Carolina or in Charleston. So
No
we
kidding.
that's the most local that we can find. There's not that many native nurseries around here that are large enough to sell wholesale. I think there's some small backyard nurseries and things like that. And if there are some, I'm just not aware of them. So we've been doing more research to try to get in contact with all of the growers because, there are more growers. There's more people starting to grow native nurseries and develop them. But So far, yeah, Charleston, like one of them, the nurseries that we like to use for our perennials is Charleston Aquatic and Environmental.
Yep.
Um, and then there's like Carolina Native Nursery in North Carolina. There's some nurseries that don't specifically only sell native plants. They just sell native plants alongside some of their other ones, like Pender Nursery, stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you do like, are there jobs that are too small for you? Like if I wanted a raised garden bed for vegetables, is that something that a listener would hire you for?
Yeah, we
Could do
do
that.
raised garden beds, arbors, stuff like that. We'll either build them ourselves or we'll use kits. It just depends
Yeah.
kind of on like the budget and the desire of the client. And there are jobs that are too small. Like I think there was one client that had a smaller backyard that just wanted a couple of plants installed, and that's really better to be giving to like a landscaper that is
Right.
working by themselves, you know?
Yeah.
So sometimes we do have to turn people away, and I like to try to refer them. But
you would do like, and you would coach them on like what vegetables to grow and all that stuff.
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a vegetable garden? Just don't have time to maintain
no.
it.
I started to build a raised bed, and it's halfway built.
Really?
Yeah, I've got like little projects all over the yard,
Yeah.
and yeah. My yard is the last one to get cared for. It's like I am definitely focusing on everybody else's, and you know that's fine with me. Eventually, I'll get to my own, and like sometimes, like when we have time, like we'll just focus on you know cleaning up the shop and like doing all the work, sharpening the tools, you know, cleaning the garden beds.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get really overgrown.
Nice.
And so, what are your aspirations then, long term?
Keep growing this thing like a
Yeah,
plant.
just keep going with it, see how far it'll go. And like really just like I would like to build this to a point where like I can hire on people to, you know, be helping me to do the design work, because like me doing it all by myself it's a lot. And you know, I'd love to have like some assistance with that, like getting a designer to come in and do that work, and you know, really just building it to the point where we're close now to having like 2 separate teams for maintenance and then a team for installs.
Sweet.
Having a designer would be great, but I think it's all in a matter of time, and it does depend on, you know, the demand for these things, and more people are getting interested in doing, you know, native gardens and more ecological gardens, mainly because they are becoming more aware of like the fact that our climate is dependent on what we choose to do,
Yeah.
you know, and also not only that, but it's like it's helping them to save money. I think that's the other thing, is like the initial investment can be a little bit larger, but the return on investment is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the main thing we try to inspire people with is, you know, you're going to save money if you do this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
And save time too.
Tell me about the name Front Yard Forest. Like, how'd you come
Oh,
up with
yeah.
that? Or
So I was trying to find something that like would integrate the like wellness of like the ecosystem. Like a forest is a system itself. It's a system that's interdependent, and it works and functions because of the relationships inside of them. And so what we tried to do with the name is Front Yard Forest is like bringing together the concept of what we use our front yards for and like what a forest does. So it's kind of like goes back to that relationship. It goes back to like that handshake between like humanity and the environment.
Yeah.
You know, integrating nature into your front yard. I think that we can be kind of phobic about nature. You know, we like look at rewilding as something that is kind of scary.
Sure.
And I mean, it makes sense too, because, you know, it can be, you know, you don't want to invite, you know, a bunch of like mice and snakes and things into your yard, but we're doing this in a way that that's not going to happen. you
Yeah.
know. It's just going to benefit the ecosystem. It's just going to create a habitat for them. And the real thing is like learning what to look out for, is like what to be aware of, like what snakes are bad and what, you know,
Yeah.
which one, and even the term bad, like, you know,
Sure.
they're not really bad. They're just
are.
doing their business. So
Have you seen those people that have sexual relationships with plants? And
no. That sounds like something off of TLC.
No, 100%.
Oh, yeah, that's wild.
People that fall in love with plants, people that fall in love with cars. Like, there's all kinds of stuff. And I didn't know if that's the
I've
relationship.
Heard of, like, tree huggers.
Yeah. Well, there's tree hooker uppers. So yeah, do you think plants are communicating to each other?
I do. Yeah, I think that there might be some scientific research on that, but I don't really know about that research.
Right.
I mean, like, I think that they are communicating, like, maybe in ways that we don't communicate. Like, we're using language, and that's really different. Like, everything is probably communicating in its own way.
Right.
I would say,
like they're just maybe tossing some chemicals in the air and sending out
yeah,
vibes.
totally, yeah, vibes.
Yeah. It's like a DM to the next plant over. What's up, baby girl?
I know. Well, people do say, I've never done any drugs before, but people have said that when they do like hallucinogens, they see the plants
Talking
in a
to each
different
other.
way. Yeah, they see movement in it, or the eyes, or the life source of it, which is an interesting thought because they are growing. You look at it like it's just something that's there, but it is growing and expanding, and roots are developing.
Yeah, totally.
Putting out seed, babies, making babies. Couple last things. Did you ever have a ponytail?
A ponytail?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I just cut my hair. I had longer hair, and like I was like, I'm done with this.
Shave
I
your
just
beard,
couldn't
cut
even.
your hair.
I couldn't even stand it any longer. Yeah, especially when it started to get in like the 80s and the 90s. I was like, this is it.
I feel like plant people have to have a ponytail at some point. So that's good.
No, it was like I didn't cut my hair for like a year, and I was just like not going to the hairstylist.
Really?
Yeah, and I grew it out, and I don't even know why. I just couldn't get myself to the hairstylist. I was like, I'm not going. I'm not getting it cut. And so then, yeah, I did have a ponytail for a little while.
Yeah.
But I don't think it looked that good on me.
This is great. And then my last thing is like, where are you at on the earth? Are you thinking it's round? Are you thinking it's flat? What are you open to hearing discussion on that from people?
I'm pretty sure it's round. Yeah.
Feel good about that?
I feel pretty solid about that one.
All right.
Yeah. If people want to believe the earth is flat, I mean, they can do that.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it's.
Let them be. And then moon. I mean, do you think we went to the moon?
Yeah.
Really?
I
And came back?
I think so. I mean,
It feels good to believe, but not real sure.
I mean, now
Like the more you think
there's
about
a
it,
lot
that's why I was
being
thinking.
said about this stuff, man. I don't know, because like they also just sent Katy Perry into space.
Yeah.
And there's a conspiracy about that too. There's
Yeah.
conspiracies about
Everything.
everything. Yeah.
A lot of them turn out to be right. That's what's wild.
I didn't know about Katy Perry.
Katy Perry.
Just for fun?
I think Jeff Bezos sent her in.
Oh, really?
Just sent her into
Threw her
space.
out there.
Yeeted her into space.
Yeah,
Love
buddy.
that.
Yeah, buddy.
So if people want to reach out to you, say they want to hire you, how's
What's
the best way
best
for them
way?
to do it?
Phone call or email. They can also reach out on the Instagram DMs.
Frontyardforest.com.
Yeah. Also the website, frontyardforest.com. Email is front.yard.forest@gmail. And Instagram is front.yard.forest.
That's awesome.
Get you some followers.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for being on the show. This has been fun.
Thanks for having me.
It's awesome.
Here
We're here for the health of it.
for the health of it.